Alright, we have a fun video today. We're going to be talking, discussing, judging, and criticizing the tier list that apparently people think I have no say over, but I digress on that point. So this is the JJK Wiki's tier list, which constitutes a lot of people's opinions. Now, some changes are made too quick. Like, for example, Muta was added way too early to where people thought he was like an A tier unit, but now he's like SS, right? So definitely sometimes the wiki tier list can be extremely lackluster, but I feel like more recently the discussion's gotten a lot better. I've tried to bring in a lot of things into this. In terms of the criteria, which we will read, I think the criteria is personally not good enough, but we'll discuss it. So this video is going to be a prelude to my tier list, my ranked tier list, and also a kind of final say on some units. So this is not my opinions totally, but we will talk and judge which I believe and which I don't agree with, right? And I just want to get this video to see what you guys think about the criteria, the units. And let me know down below, do you agree with the tiers in this video or do you disagree with them? Which ones and why? Do you agree with my opinions or not? Let me know down below. I'm expecting a lot of comments so we could all have fun. All right, here we go. Units are ranked within each category using the following criteria: damage potential and consistency, as well as versatility within different scenarios, not having an elemental advantage, for example. Now, I agree with this, but they should add on having certain utility like alt lower, healing from Yuta, or even damage lower should be counted. I don't see why it shouldn't be, right? I just don't see why it shouldn't be. Like, for example, I mean, there's not, yeah, Yuta's heal, right? Even in blue, I mean, is there anyone? Yeah, I mean, okay. So, Ghetto, I mean, they don't really, like, in this tier list for the damage portion, they don't count his sub DPS capabilities of, first of all, being able to damage increase and also taijutsu lower. So I just find that odd, right? Like, we could obviously, like, as a full support, he's great because all he has to do is spam his skill 2. But here he's spamming his skill 2 and then ulting, right? So sure, it's a DPS, but even as a DPS, I feel like you should be counting the fact that he could lower the damage the enemy does for the whole team to take less damage, and also increase the damage, especially if he's being ran with someone like Sukuna. Like, I just think that should be counted when we're counting the ranking. And then obviously Hollow Purple and Muta lower alt gauge. And then here, Tinjo, like, his taunt should be something that's factored in. Some people say they don't use it, but like, I've had to use it in a lot of my showcases, right? Even just in Tower, like, I feel like it's been a useful thing that people should account for, especially when you're using someone like Red Yaga or Green Gakuganji that are both SRs with less health. Now, support, ability to increase other units' potential or allow the team to more consistently clear a stage, either through offensive or defensive support for teammates. I'm fine with that. Now, specialist, usefulness of niche strategies involving the character and how effective the character is at performing said strategies. Character who facilitates stall strategies are valued due to how many otherwise difficult stages can be cleared using this sort of strategy, for example, which I think is honestly we changed it from tank to specialist because tank made no sense. A lot of units that were not really constituting as tank were in there, but specialist also accounts for units that aren't necessarily tanks, so that's huge. Now, different game modes may have different weight upon a unit's rank, depending on its overall difficulty compared to others. Example, Illusory Tower and EX stages have high priority over Formidable Foes or Curse Sweep Battle. Now, my thing is EX stages are good, should not have more weight than Sweep Battle. Now, Formidable Foes should not even be counted, if I'm being honest. It should only be Tower, EX stages, and Curse Sweep Battle. Now, on JP, there are more EX stages that are good, but I would argue more people, especially now we're counting Sweep Battle than anything. Tower is just free so far. The 60 stages are absolutely child's play with any unit. I could hop into any floor, read the details, and clear. Okay, like, they are not that hard anymore. I mean, it's just Tower's not that bad, which is why they had to bring in another 20 stages, but that's also why Curse Sweep should be counted more. So the criteria, like, at least how they explain it, should be changed. But I have to say, this tier list is made in mind more with Sweep. It's just in the criteria, it doesn't say that. Some units may appear on multiple categories. These units perform well enough in multiple categories to the point where it is warranted that they are placed within multiple categories. Example, a support unit that can still output good damage will be in the damage category. But I feel like you should also count everything they do, not just the damage. Of course, this game is about doing as much damage as possible, but part of doing the most damage that you can is also making sure the team stays alive. For example, doing a max Mei nuke while Gakuganji keeps on dying. What do I do then? Right, that's basically what I'm trying to explain. and then, oh wow, Yuta could heal in those instances. Well, guess what? Maybe Yuta would be better, right? So that's kind of how I want to consider it. Some units may appear multiple times, and this is DSP. So essentially, you'll see here some units are buffed with their skills are buffed. So for example, I just did Renobara. Her passive in her skill 3 was buffed, and that's this version. So kind of like an easy A from Dokkan. So let's kind of go through it. We're going to start at the top and go down. So obviously, Sukuna is in a tier of his own, and sorry. Apologize. This is due to the versatility that we talked about, and it just makes sense, right? He's able to just do every single floor with ease, and then also has very high damage. The biggest complaint I have is his insanely low crit rate, that you could say like, oh, okay, but that doesn't matter because he gets an increase of 90% crit rate, but even at that, he doesn't crit all the time. If he did crit all the time, this unit would be absolutely broken, but that's obviously the only thing holding him back. Now then, this is a ranked tier list, which means, for example, that means Tinjo is better than Hollow Purple, and Hollow Purple is better than Muta, and Muta is better than Yuta, and so on and so forth. And I would like to say there is a lot of things wrong that I consider with this, with these rankings. So let's get into what I consider wrong, okay? And obviously this is not going to be my final verdict on this, because my ranking tier list could change, because when I do my ranking tier lists, I always get multiple people's opinions. People who have put many hours into the game, people have done much, like a lot of testing, people who have done comparisons between two units, right? I ask these people specifically to help me out, get their opinions, and we come to a common consensus for those. So this is basically my raw opinions, right? Now, Tinjo I still think is the best. Now, the main reason is due to him just getting, well, these buffs, being able to get, well, a 240% buff with the crit rate is insane, due to the fact that he has a 1500 ult alongside high crit damage and being able to pretty much crit on all the hits. Now, besides that, he's also able to taunt, which is one of my biggest things. He gets his ult quick and is able to do his damage quite consistently. Now, one thing I do want to mention, I personally value having good supports. So, for example, Shoko and Yaga are both mono yellow supports, so that means someone like Tinjo and Zonji have more value than the red supports, because all they have is that shitty bum ass Inumaki. Now, he is a good support overall, but for mono red, he's not really doing that much more than our Inumaki, than just giving a bit of extra damage, but it's not even comparable to the level of Team Ghetto, because it's about half the support. So it is unfortunate in that way where yellow has two amazing supports, but it's like they have 3 mono yellow supports. Like, what's up with that? So Teen Gojo, in my opinion, yes, he is deserving of this ranking. Very good unit. Now, next up, Hollow Purple and Muta. So these units, from the current consensus of JP players, they're pretty much interchangeable. And why I'm saying that is because Hollow Purple might be doing a higher nuke in tower, but as of right now, for the current content, right, the current content, Muta is the more valuable unit. He's better in sweep due to the fact that he does not leave after 7 turns while doing comparable damage. So there is a possibility that you clear sweep with Hollow Purple, but you do need another DPS. All right, so be it, I don't know, green Megumi or like someone else, I don't know. Hollow Purple could really only clear one of the 3 phases of sweep, which usually will be the last phase, so he does lose a lot of value in sweep, where Muta doesn't really leave. Also has a very strong S3 that Hollow Purple does not have access to. So that's the thing, while Hollow Purple might have a bit more damage, you also have to consider Muta has the same ult percent, right? So him it's 2000 and Muta's also 2000, because 100% is increasing the overall damage to make this 2000% total, essentially is how that works. But then he also has a skill 3 that's 800% total that he could use right before his ult, and then also has an extra 90% 60% here, and then when you break for his ult, another 30%. And this break damage is really good to also help the team stay alive, which of course I personally count. So I would say like these two are quite interchangeable, but I honestly am starting to give the edge to Muta. It's crazy how high Muta's crept up the list, where before he was like, I think A or S tier, but now he's at SS, which I think is a massive W. Now, next up, Yuta. I think I could fuck with this. The main thing is like when you're looking at it. So for Mei, I think most people, well, the common consensus, unfortunately, is Mei below Zonji, but we're gonna get through that, right? Now, Yuta, I would say he is very good. Now, the thing is, on global, you don't have this, but Yuta's able to get another 35% Jujutsu increase on this. Now, you might be like, oh, but he's not going to be that high on cursed energy. You're wrong, because he starts off at 70 now, which is quite insane. So he gets an extra 35%, which might not seem like much, but it is, especially when his ult is in fact 2000%, but with an extra 20% Jujutsu. Actually, I don't know if that's on the ult or afterwards. You have to let me know on that. But he has high crit damage, which is also very good, to where his nuking potential is very high. Also, when he heals, he gets another 10% Jujutsu and Taijutsu. So if you have good RNG, he's able to definitely keep his spot right here. You cannot put him that much higher because he doesn't really give that many self buffs compared to someone like these three. But definitely a very good unit with the heal, which I consider. Now, my problem is with Green Megumi. So Green Megumi, the funny thing is, this ranking for Green Megumi is essentially there from Burger, which Burger does a lot of testing, but he doesn't have Megumi. Okay, I don't have Megumi, but the people who have Megumi are saying he's not supposed to be here. So I will leave it to the pros and to the gameplay I've seen that Megumi is a good unit, but I don't think is deserving of this high of a rank. Personally, I would put him below Zonji. That is my personal thoughts. It might look like not that big of a difference, but when you're it's like, okay, for example, something like this. When you're looking at the top billionaires, right? The top like money earners. Sure, like there might be like they're all rich. They're all rich. But Elon Musk is a lot richer than who was it? The guy on Shark Tank. He's also a billionaire, but he's got like Mark Cuban, that guy. He's got a couple billions, but Elon's got hundreds of billions. That's how I see it. Even just two simple tiered adjustments makes a big difference because that's not where he should be. Like, I'm not going to be out here saying Mark Cuban is richer than Elon Musk. He just isn't. And it's the same way Green Megumi just is not stronger than Toji or Zonji. And that's my personal opinion. Now, let me explain why. First of all, Kujira brought up a good point in the Discord chat where his CE requirements are quite high. For example, his skill 3 that does good damage when he has the White Divine Dog. Look at this. 220. 320, which that makes it 540, and then if there's Black Dog, that's like somewhere in the 900s, right? So that's a 900% on a fucking skill 3, right? This also lowers the enemy's damage, gives you extra ult gauge, and then if and look at this, another 220% here. Right, it's insane. It's insane. But then you could see here that if Black Dog's locked summon, that's another alt gauge. But the problem is it's 30 CE, which does require Kaido. So I think requiring certain units does suck. I think definitely having Kaido to facilitate is fine. I mean, I used them in my Nobara showcase for sweep. But I think requiring it, like someone like Zonji, it kind of sucks. Now, his ult is also very strong, being what? I think 1,000%? It's 1,000%. Oh, sorry, no. No, sorry, it's 1500. Very strong. He puts a debuff, right? Puts a debuff. And then also, the problem, I hate this so much. Like, why is it when Black Dog's knock summon? Like, you will have Black Dog die, but it just sucks. I just hate it. I wish we just got this. But anyway, if Black Dog's not there, he's getting his ult a lot quicker, but then obviously his damage is way lower, right? Way lower. So you do want Black Dog to be there. Now, he does work well with Muta, which does give him a bit of a bonus, right? These two work very well because he supports, does more damage and break, has very good damage himself, and helps Muta. But of course, your support damage will be lower overall, but it's super good because then he's also going to be supporting for 2 turns. So if you do the follow-up, you could get multiple instances of this while having this up, while also giving, where is it? This. Oh no, it's on the skill 2, isn't it? Yeah, this. So his damage is good. The problem is CE sometimes could make you make it be a bit restricted. You'll see here that if Divine Dogs are active, it is -5 CE. So essentially, this should be 25 unless I'm mistaken. Please let me know. And this should also be 20, but still 20, that's all your CE. So even like, you're still going to be in a cursed energy deficit even if this is 25, right? So that's something to consider. The damage is good, but definitely, and it's consistent. It's consistent. But putting him over Toji and Zonji, I'm like, I don't know about that, right? I don't know about that. And the main reason is because Zonji, well, he has the CE problems, but he is able to break the enemy, do good damage, do very high damage too. And where does his high damage come from? Well, essentially, his skill 3, his skill 3 is 680, which might not seem high, but when you consider, look at this high crit damage, look at the high Black Flash damage if he does Black Flash, it's insane. And that is alongside having stacks of this, well, you would get this 20 and this 30% damage increase, and then over here you have another 30% damage. When you count all these together while having an ult that's 1500 with a guaranteed Black Flash with 250%, his damage is just insane, able to break, and it's just very good to get his ult. After he ults the first time, he does kind of snowball. It's a very nice snowball effect, so I would argue him over Green Megumi. And then Toji has his damage reduction, Pierce, and also is able to just kind of be, I would say, more consistent, where Green Megumi might have cursed energy problems. Toji doesn't have that, and is able, like, there's a floor that you need him for, which is 52, right? right? At that point, I don't want to make it too much of like too prevalent, because Mei, I want to argue Mei over Toji, right? Now, not over Yuta, and let's talk about why. So essentially what I would do is put Green Megumi like either after Maki or before Maki. I'm not too sure. Let me know your opinions on that. And then it would like basically mean I want Mei to be right here. Right here. So that means there's 3 red DPSs in a row, which is insane. Now let me talk about why I want Mei below Yuta right now, but I could also see Mei right above Yuta, and let's talk about it. Mei does higher damage than Toji on ult. Toji will actually probably do more on his skill 3, or whichever one does the 500%, and that is for a couple of reasons. Number one, he has some buffs that the skill 3 will be able to profit from. Also, it's the skill 2. Also, very high crit damage, and that might not seem like much, but when you have crit res lower, it's definitely going to be pretty important. Also, nullifies damage reduction, so it's definitely going to be good. Now, the thing is, Mei's ult damage, when tested from a dupe 1 Mei and a dupe 1 Toji, Mei's damage is about 4 to 5 million higher on average, sometimes 6 million, unless I got it right, got it wrong. So her ult damage is higher. Her ult is a bit lower ult gauge than Toji, so she's going to be able to get her ult about as quick, because obviously Toji has access to like-minded sisters, so they get it about as quick. So when you consider all that, you could definitely say that Mei will be able to do pretty much almost as much as Toji, so usually more. So due to that, I believe she is higher, as she's probably able to make a bit more quicker work to sweep than Toji for your like top tier player, right? Playing perfectly, I would say Mei does get that advantage. The sweep runs I've done so far have been with Mei's rec pit, but if I try with Pride, I might be able to clear. So we'll see how that goes, but I would definitely say that Mei does have a bit of the edge due to her damage being higher. And you could say, okay, the damage reduction okayed floor 52, but then it's like, okay, so then what about Miguel? Like, if Miguel could also do it, now what? Because obviously we're looking at this in a tier list. I'm not looking at this in terms of value of a unit. It's how strong the unit is. And when a unit is like competing directly with another unit, like this is different, right? When I'm mentioning Toji like as a valuable unit, he's insane, right? But it's in the same way that I say I think Zonji's a fraud, but he's still a very good unit, that I believe Toji's a bit less good than Mei, right? But it's still a very valuable unit, right? So Mei, I would place her right here where Green Megumi is, and Green Megumi, I'd place her either above or below Maki. So that's kind of how I would go about it. I hope that made sense. Let me know if there's any problems with what I said, but I really do think that Mei's damage being slightly higher does give her that advantage in sweep, and sweep is very important, and they could both clear tower just as easily. Now, of course, Toji has that advantage for tower, so it's like the 3 red DPSs are so close to each other that it's insane. Now, the thing is with Yuta is you could say his value is lower because he has a more difficulty clearing sweep battle, which is the new mode, and I'm saying this from the experience of people who've cleared the sweep like 68 million damage, saying they've had a lot of difficulty using Yuta, where I feel like Toji and Mei have less difficulty than Yuta, because Yuta has to wait 4 turns for his ult to regain, right? Which is definitely going to be difficult to kind of weave in, right? Because that takes like another 7-8 turns to get. So obviously you could kind of build it up, but it's still very difficult. So that's kind of my personal thoughts. Now the rest I kind of am in agreement with. Maki is very good. Maki's very good. She just like has very nice buffs on a 1200 ult, and that has a guaranteed crit, which is very huge. Now she gets these extra buffs, which are very noticeable. Okay, so 30% taijutsu, and then another 20%, right? These are very good as they are stats, and all she has is taijutsu with rather high stats. But besides that, she's able to get, well, essentially, you use the skill 1, then you go into the skill 2, get a 60% taijutsu total, right? And then afterwards, you go into here and get a crit damage increase, and that's basically how it's going to be ran. Now, you could, I think maybe in some cases, you could argue the taijutsu is better, because this is 4 hits. So I'm not too sure about that yet, but her damage is very good, and I'd say she's either here or probably below Blue Ghetto. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Like, I'd argue Blue Ghetto over Gojo, and I'll talk about why. But Jogo is insane. Now, why is he insane? Well, because we were kind of reading his kit wrong. I was. His skill 3 is 232 times 3, which means this skill 3 is a 700% Jujutsu. 700%. Which is insane. Now, his ult was made slightly better, but essentially it just gave him that extra buff for that 1 turn, right? So basically before it went from 4 to 5 turns, which you might be like, oh, but that means he gets his ult 1 turn later, but it doesn't matter because now he has an extra turn where he can use the skill 3, because here he's getting an extra 80 cursed energy now, right? And that's going to be insane, alongside the fact that he's able to get, oh no, that's only below 10, never mind, unlucky. But he's going to be getting 80 cursed energy, which is going to allow him to basically spam the skill 3 times in a row, even 4 times if you so wish. And this is also unfortunately no burn, but also alongside the dot, which I saw the dot do 700k. Right, so it's nice chip damage extra. It's very nice. So skill 3 is going to have the buff of the damage increase, the crit rate increase, and then if you go lower, it's once per battle, which I wish was just permanent. But this is a very nice buff on the skill 3. You could probably make him do a lot more. And then also having another 30% damage increase here does allow his skill 3 being a 700%, using all the buffs to be very strong, very, very strong. And that's why Jogo's so high, even higher than Gojo. It's because he doesn't leave. It's very hard to kill him, because he has 30% damage reduction. Does he have, and then he also has damage reduction here. I was like, where's, oh, sorry, no, it's a dodge. It's a dodge. Sorry, it's a dodge. So putting these two things together, even just 30% damage reduction, like for example, Mahito's damage reduction, he's sometimes able to take 0 damage. And how much damage reduction does he have? So he has, I think a bit more, no? He could get up to 24. Am I missing something? And 20 here. So they're about the same, right? So Jogo in some cases is going to take like 1 to 2,000 damage from like a big hit, which is insane to think about when you have someone like Domain Gojo. So it's funny and ironic that Domain Gojo and Jogo work very well together, but it is true, right? So that's essentially it. Like Jogo's damage, because he's able to spam his skill 3, that's a 700% multiplier just like 4 times in a row with decent-ish buffs. It's good. And then Gojo's still good, but sweep is a bit meh, which is why I'd argue Geto over Gojo. But and the reason is because they do similar damage. I'm not kidding. When they're both dupe 1, they do the exact same damage, but then Geto's also supporting the team and does not leave. So personally, I would argue Geto over Gojo, but they still have this. I don't know. I just think that Geto is just better, right? Damage is literally the same, except he supports, make sure the team takes less damage, and does not leave. So he could do his all multiple times. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Please make it make sense. So, you know, I'm gonna have to go back on Geto soon for sure, because it's like, this is crazy to me. This is crazy. And then Nobara, honestly, maybe a bit low, but still very good. Still very good. Like we saw our damage. Skill 3 just does insane damage now. Nail count, just amazing. I don't even need to talk about it. Now, the S tier. Problem with Grainji being here is that he's too close to Red Yuji. Like, you could say that they're both really good. The problem is, like, bro, this guy, he's fucking insane. Like, you could, all day, you could argue that he's not that good. Okay, sure. But then he has 200% Black Flash damage, 100% Black Flash damage here. Oh, by the way, an extra 50% Black Flash damage, 100% Taijutsu increase, damage increase, and then 100% Black Flash rate, alongside more Black Flash rate here, and then also big damage on his skill 3. And then it's like Yuji is also very good. His ult is 1500%. He does get this, like he's able to debuff the enemy, which is nice. But I don't know if I'd say it's as good. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm tweaking, but like it's just like Grainji might be like, he's like scraping on the bottom of SS, but he's like top S. Now Gojo's damage like is actually very good. If you use him as a main DPS, he could do really incredible damage. The only thing is, if you use him as a main DPS, you can't use his domain. And the main reason why he works so well is because of his skill 3 being a 700% with a stack of like doing 2 stacks of this, right? So you're able to, I don't know if it like activates, because we don't really need this. Like it's not like useful most of the times, but I don't know if it's like on the hit or after. So I don't know if he has 2 of these buffs active or 3, right? But it's basically 45 Jujutsu damage where you could kind of stack that, which is really good. Especially if you do Black Flash, you get an extra 30% here. If you do manage, that is huge. But his damage is good. And then he could also damage lower with a 530% fucking multiplier, which is insane. Look, 100% crit damage too. Like his stats being high, also having this buff that stacks, it is really good. Like his damage is insane. Like I pop out like 6-7 millions on that skill 3 when he has the domain debuff active, so it's very good. And then the rest, like, I don't really need to talk about these. Like, I think they all kind of make sense here. Even in A, I'd agree with most of these, but Jogo may be an S, because, like, his SP buffs didn't give much. So I'm like, were we just sleeping on Jogo? It's very possible. Besides that, I kind of agree with all this. Maybe Toto should be higher, but I don't have the buffs, materials to try him out. And then in B, I do agree. Now, Mei and Saki are kind of not in there. I would put Saki in S. Mei, like I said before, rate below Zonji or rate above. Actually, sorry. I I've been having a lot of opinions, so I was thinking back, like I had a backlog of opinions, you know, and I'm like, no, this is the wrong opinion. The right opinion that I was about to say, that was not a Freudian slip, okay? That was not trust. I believe she should be where Megumi is. That's my personal opinion. I already gave my reasons. Now that we could go to support, and I kind of agree with this. Honestly, Kaido could be higher because his value just went crazy high with sweep. Now, these mono yellows are just insane. Like, they work so well together because they multiply against each other. She buffs for fucking 60% being 180, insane. And then Yaga just debuffs for a total of 46 times 3. Then his ult going even higher, giving insane buffs, already having a buff. So they're kind of working hand in hand to just go crazy, right? So it's insane. I'd even move Degumi up to SSS because their damage, like their supports are just like kind of a necessity. Besides that, all of SS is good. All of S is good. And then it's like A, B, C, like whatever, bro. And then Specialist Saki could go bottom of SS, top of S because she has a top now and she basically is unkillable. So I would put her like in SS or S. So, you know, that's kind of it. I think the damage tier list is the most important. But when I do my own tier list, it's going to be vastly different. But that's essentially it. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. I'd say that there needs to be a bit more cooking going on in SS. But besides that, overall, it's not that bad overall. Like, it's definitely gotten a lot better than what it used to be. So I definitely take it. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching the video. Have a wonderful day. We talked a lot about SS. Like, we went in depth. I hope you guys appreciated that. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.